Israel launches an anti-dumping probe into cannabis companies from Canada. Canada, again, finds itself in hot water over the import-export of commercial medical cannabis. The commissioner of Israel's Trade Levies Unit opened an anti-dumping investigation in mid-January concerning the importation of medical marijuana from cannabis after finding a casual link between the imports and damage to Israel's local cannabis industry. Any move to restrict imports could have a major impact on Canada's fragile cannabis export sector, as Israel currently accounts for more than 1/3 of all cannabis exports from Canada by weight. In fiscal year 2023, Israel imported 21,000 kilos of cannabis from Canada for commercial and scientific use, data shows from the regulator Health Canada. I wish to inform you that after I found that special circumstances exist, I have decided to initiate an anti-dumping investigation concerning the importation of medical cannabis from Canada. Danny Tal, Director of Import Administration at Israel's Ministry of Economy and Industry, wrote in a letter to Michael Mancini, Chief Commercial Counselor for the Embassy of Canada in Israel. Our findings regarding whether there is dumping, consequent injury, and the duty required will be determined on the basis of best information available. It is therefore important that every interested party will submit information, evidence, and their arguments and an answered questionnaire. The investigation was launched after Israeli companies reportedly suffered financial losses because of competition with cheap Canadian imports, according to Israel's Cannabis magazine, which first reported the investigation. The period of investigation will be from January 1st, 2023 to the end of 2023 for anti-dumping activities, and from January 1st, 2021 to the end of 2023 for any damages to local businesses. The determination whether provisional measures are required and the estimated rate of the anti-dumping duty, according to which the provisional duty is set, will not be made before the interested parties have had the opportunity, within the time constraints of the law, to submit further information, evidence, and their arguments, and any answered questionnaire if they so wish, Tal wrote. As part of the investigation, 10 Canadian companies have 30 days to submit information, evidence, and their arguments, and to answer that lengthy questionnaire. The Canadian licensed producers named in the investigation are Auxiliary, Canopy Growth, Chronos, Decibel, Organogram, SNDL, Tilray, Hexocorp, Village Farms International. The documents announcing the investigation also named the Green Organic Dutchman, an Ontario-based company that rebranded to Bazam 1 year ago. MJ Biz Daily reached out to a number of the licensed producers named in the investigation, but only Tilray responded with a statement by acknowledging that the company received the notice of inquiry. To date, Tilray Brands has only shipped into Israel from its Portugal facility, the spokesperson said. However, we firmly believe that the Tilray Brands has complied with all applicable laws for prior sales into Israel. If any provisional measures are applied, it won't be open until at least 60 days after the investigation begun. Other countries. Israel joins companies from Australia, Colombia, and Jamaica that have cried foul over Canada's import-export situation. Colombia and Jamaica previously have accused Canada of protecting its domestic cannabis producers by blocking commercial imports of medical marijuana. The trade issue has drawn attention because there are a small number of meaningful legal import markets for medical cannabis, and Canada, the largest federally regulated medical market in the world, doesn't allow commercial imports. In 2020, Jamaica's former Ministry of Industry, Commerce, Agriculture, and Fisheries told MJ Biz Daily that it appears manifestly clear that the refusal of the Canadian government to allow the importation of commercial quantities of marijuana from Jamaica is putting the investment of several Canadian investors in Jamaica at risk. In 2021, the Colombian government raised concerns about Canada's commercial import restrictions with the World Trade Organization. In year 2023, Canadian cannabis companies exported $160 million, that's Canadian dollars, so it's 118 for us US folks, worth of medical cannabis products. Health Canada, which regulates cannabis imports and exports, said import and export of marijuana for medical or scientific purposes is strictly regulated and limited to countries that are party to the United Nations International Drug Control Conventions and have a legal framework for the medical and scientific use of cannabis. Both Colombia and Jamaica are party to those conventions. At least one Jamaican company, Jacana, a leading company in the Caribbean medical cannabis industry, has tried and failed to ship its commercial products to Canada for sale to patients. Health Canada, the federal regulator for medical cannabis importing and export, said in a statement, consistent with Canada's international obligations, Health Canada maintains control over the international movement of cannabis for medical and scientific purposes, strictly limiting international trade for these purposes and authorizing permits and exemptions on a case-by-case basis. Import and export for any other purpose is prohibited under Canada law. So, let me kick this off for y'all before I hear what my other esteemed panelists have to say. California has been suffering from subpar Canadian imports going back decades. BC Boof was never top shelf tier A. Now, I recognize that there are some great operators in Canada, and there's probably some good weed that comes from our maple syrup neighbors. And I am concerned because Israel has been beating its own drum and proclaiming its relevancy on the international stage when it comes to cannabis for almost a decade. And the fact that it still needs to import some to begin with is challenging. Extra challenging is this notion that it's going to litigate over what it's already received. I think Israel might be better on a shipment by shipment basis of maintaining quality control instead of jamming up this nascent international commodity. This is Yaro Kubrin, High at 9 News. I'd like to know what my other guests have to say about this.
I think we're on the verge of the first international cannabis trade war. It all starts with Canada.
Man, they're just shipping their boof everywhere and just dumping it off like, here you go, here you go, here you go, here you go. This is
Sorry.
Of course, yeah, they're just dumping it everywhere. Oh man. Man, oh man, oh man. This is classic to me. I don't expect anything less from Canada. I mean, this is not surprising at all whatsoever. And I feel so bad for the people that have to endure all of these shipments and have their throats hurt because of their harshness.
Only boof weed gets traded overseas.
I mean, my throat hurt with the harshness of having to read the article.
I feel you.
So first off, Yaro, I have to compliment you on the purple hue of your shirt. I really like that, man. It looks really, really good on you there. And but I do have to say, so the whole thing behind this is that is Canada's pumping too much of their shit out there? Is that what's going on? I'm trying
to sell it in Canada, right? So
it's a two for Rico. On the one hand, Israel's complaining about the boof they've imported, and grow your own shit, okay? And then secondarily, multiple countries are complaining that Canada is creating restrictions on importing cannabis from other countries while favoring exporting its cannabis, and that's an unfair restriction on trade.
They're selling and they're not buying.
Yeah, they're basically like telling Jamaica, like, here's the deal: we're going to supply you with all this cannabis, but you can't buy any cannabis from Colombia or from Mexico or anywhere else. Like, we're your only supplier.
I don't think it's that they're saying they can't get it elsewhere. It's that they're not willing to have a reciprocity. So they're like, Jamaica mistake, we're not taking your weed, but you can take ours. And so it's a one-way street that is benefiting cannabis producers, but not the international industry at large.
I mean, well, in all fairness,
Yaro, are missing it. Maybe they like smoking boof.
They don't. They don't. No one likes smoking.
Maybe they like smoking.
No one likes smoking.
I thought Israel had good stuff, and I thought they had.
Israel does have good stuff, but they got to worry about bombs going off, and shit like that.
Well, we want the bomb in our blunt, and Israel has not scaled its production to meet its domestic needs. And considering the confidence that Israel projects with its positioning in regulated international cannabis, that is a big misstep. And the notion that they're going to make this issue and questionnaires and responding, like, my question to Israel will be, well, then why don't you just scale up domestic production to meet your domestic needs and quit fucking complaining.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do you think they're gonna put in Gaza, bro? They're gonna put greenhouses. They're gonna grow their wheat.
Oh boy.
Too soon.
You guys are stop.
Is it really though?
Stop.
That's exactly what they're.
You know
gonna
what?
do.
I'm. You know what? We're way past time, you guys. I'm